Welcome and thank you for joining. Proud conservative Miron Tikle Sinai Gebremidain. God is love. Thank you for joining all of you. Yared Esgade, Teddy Fentahan, Peace for All, My Life. Thank you all of you for joining. Turbo 911, Mona Desta. Mona Desta is one of my regular viewers. The Hajinator, Asmara Home, Semi, Sene Gabremaden, good evening. Good evening, Sabre, Sene Gabremaden. Binaim Sage, how are you? I'm fine, Binaim Sage. Latish, Minghan, hello Minghan. He asks questions mostly about Azerbaijan, Armenia, Vinta Cross, Heptom, Zemichel, Usman Mirag, Nathaniel Gabre, Ali Sheikh, Adam, Muhammad Gami, Ethio, Python, Long Walk, Lydia Mibrato, Teddy, Fentaham, Latish. Thank you for joining all of you. It's wonderful to be talking to you on Saturday. Asmara is saying, hope you came with a new information on analysis. Amin Ahmad has joined. I think he's from Sudan. He has been away for some time. He's back. Thank you for joining, Amin. Rafi Marshall, Creed, Brooke, KP, Latish. Asmara was saying that hope you have come with some new information. You know, all of you, that honestly, very little information is coming out of Tigray in terms of military operations, in terms of what's happening on the battlefield. Free Tigray is saying, as long as Amin is saying, I'm from Tigray. Okay, Amin, thank you. P.O. Boy Trucking, good evening, my friend. Good evening, P.O. Boy Trucking. Let me just start with Tigray. I don't have a new piece of information, but since the start of this war, which started on the 4th of November, since the 4th of November till now, I think the time which TDF are going through now is the toughest time for them. TDF supporters might not agree with me, but I know that Tigray Defense Forces are going through a very hard time. It's becoming difficult for them to survive. They are concentrated, they are deployed, or whatever you say. They're holding 3 areas. I won't give you names, viewers. But all 3 areas are under intense pressure. That is why we are seeing efforts to involve international community. TDF need some sort of help. Their supply lines cut off. No one is helping them. No regional state, no neighboring country is helping them. US is helping them. US wants ceasefire in Tigray views. G7 is meeting today and will hear a call for ceasefire at G7 as well. You'll see in the coming hours. Now, the first and foremost priority for the US is a ceasefire in Tigray. TDF are going through a very hard time. They need some sort of intervention. Now, can we say they are about to be defeated? They are not about to be defeated, but their capacity in terms of carrying out large-scale attacks has been weakened. And we haven't seen over the past 3 weeks any large scale attack carried out by Tigray Defense Forces against Eritrean forces, against Ethiopian National Defense Forces. So their capabilities of starting a large scale confrontation, they have been damaged. And if this war goes on, TDF's capabilities of a large war, they'll be further weakened. Guerrilla warfare will continue. It will continue for months, even for years. But TDF's capabilities of carrying out large scale attacks will be affected, viewers. And that is the main purpose of Eritrean interference in Tigray, main purpose of Eritrean offensive on central Tigray. So far, their strategy is working because TDF's supply lines, they have been cut off, viewers. And we're seeing an intensified effort by the US for a humanitarian ceasefire in Tigray. But Ethiopian government says that humanitarian ceasefire is a way of bringing back TPLF to power. Ethiopian government says that US wants to bring back TPLF. It wants to bring TPLF back to power. That is why it is calling for humanitarian ceasefire. So you won't see a ceasefire. Ethiopian government knows that they are in a position in which they can exert more pressure upon TDF. Eritrea knows that as well. So this war will continue. You will see further attacks. You will see further military operations by Eritrean and Ethiopian forces against TDF in the coming days. Now, I know that some of you might not like my analysis, but based on my experience, based on my information that I get, I think that is very close to truth that I told you. TDF are in need of some sort of outside support to sustain their capabilities, to keep their capabilities intact in terms of launching large scale attacks. Jabir is saying, before that, soon we'll see NATO. Jabir, there is no likelihood of NATO intervening here. Ethiopia is not a member of NATO, viewers. NATO was basically formed to defend against Russia. And in case of a non-NATO member attacking a NATO member countries, they come in action. Here, there is no possibility of NATO's intervention. You have seen that over the past 7 months that international community has only imposed sanctions. Not entire international community, just the US has imposed sanctions and the EU has withheld some aid. There is no likelihood of any military intervention by the NATO or the US even. US will put pressure upon Ethiopia. It will involve Ethiopian friends, Ethiopian rivals, Ethiopian enemies as well. It won't go for military intervention in Ethiopia. It might try to back those forces in Ethiopia which can serve US interests. It won't go for direct intervention, military intervention in Tigray. We have a good news from Somalia, viewers. You know that Somali families have been protesting about their missing soldiers' sons. I shared a video with you yesterday. Then we saw another video in which some Somali mothers were seen uh, allegedly taking bribe from some strangers who were being backed by Somali opposition parties. Now, just a few hours ago, Somali Prime Minister has announced the formation of a fact-finding commission to look into the reports that Somali soldiers were sent by Eritrea into Tigray. Somali Army Chief, Somali Defense Minister, Somali Interior Minister, and Somali Ambassador to Ethiopia, they are members of this commission. This commission will carry out investigations into the claims that Eritrea sent Somali troops to fight in Tigray. So it's a good move. It should have happened in February when these reports came, views, but President of Somalia, Formaggio, did not take this issue seriously. Now, when UN is mentioning that Somali soldiers fought in Tigray, now at least a Somali Prime Minister has taken a good step, viewers. Someone is saying there could be possibility of Kosovo-like intervention by NATO. I already responded to it. Ming Han is asking about Taliban. Ming Han, you always ask about those conflicts which I am not covering regularly. In a previous session, you were asking about Azerbaijan, Armenia. Now you're questioning about Afghanistan. Almost half of American troops have withdrawn from Afghanistan, and Taliban, as expected, are sweeping across Afghanistan. It was very much expected that after departure of the US and NATO forces, Taliban would definitely and eventually get control of Afghanistan. And that is what's happening. Sarah Muhammad says, hi Sarah. I watcher, breakfast for dinner, Yasin Usman, salam, humble guy, loud noise. Jaber is again saying that NATO will intervene. Let's see what happens, Jaber. Abdi Tahir has joined Beatles. Beatles saying, will you call this a Tigray genocide now? Viewers, genocide, famine, these words are not just words. They are technical words. They have some criterias. And you use these words after some criterias have been met. Even America is not using the word genocide, viewers. If you remember US Senate resolution on Tigray passed a few days ago, is there any mention of the word genocide in that resolution? No. US Senator said that this is a technical word, a legal word, which can be decided by a court, will only use the word ethnic cleansing. So such terms need to be seen at some relevant forums like courts. ICJ can decide whether there is genocide in Tigray or not. But we have talked about violations, human rights violations in Tigray. I have done so many videos about human rights violations in Tigray. So I think that's enough. Now, is there genocide or not? It can only be decided by a court. And remember, viewers, if a court decides there is genocide in Tigray, then the court will try those individuals who are behind this genocide. That is why the use of this word genocide, it's a legal thing. loud noise, how long do you think this war will go on? It will go on. You have seen that intensity has decreased, large scale fighting has subsided, but guerrilla warfare will go on. And you'll see that TDF will carry out activities and operations like OLA. TDF will be more organized in the coming days. They'll carry out small scale attacks. The attacks will go on for months, no end to it. Nitin Varia is asking any postponement of elections. So far, Ethiopian government wants to press ahead with elections. It does not want to postpone them. And viewers, in 70 to 75% areas, elections are due to be held in Ethiopia. So no elections in 20 to 30% constituencies. In Tigray, no elections. Some parts of Oromia, BG, Afar, and Somali regions, no elections. But 70% of Ethiopia, there'll be elections in the 70% areas. But so far, no postponement. I've been saying for several weeks, viewers, when everyone was saying that there will be no elections, I was saying elections will be held at any cost. So this is the right time for Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to be elected for the next term. Political uncertainty, political instability suits him. So first priority for Abiy Ahmed is elections. Second priority for Abiy Ahmed is dam. Because through second filling of dam, Abiy Ahmed can build a nationalist rhetoric. Even his opponents, they'll have to support him on the issue of Ethiopian dam. So we'll see that after the elections, he'll go for dam, second filling of dam. Third priority would be other things like Tigray War and OLA and other things. So these are two major priorities. Firstly, election. Secondly, Ethiopian dam. Someone is asking, what percentage do you give Tigray becoming independent? Things are moving very rapidly towards independence of Tigray because TPLF has been pushed up against the wall. And now they'll call for independence, I think. So far, it's not their official position. Again, I'm saying, viewers, it's not official position of TPLF. But if they are disappointed by international community, if US is unable to deliver, then we might see, we will see, I think, TPLF calling for independence of Tigray. I think war is now shifting towards Oromia. Today I did a video on that. You can watch that video. Some heavy fighting has been seen in Oromia over the past few days. Fighting in Gucci, Borana was very heavy battles, yours. And Oromia government, Oromia regional police, they have also confirmed that heavy clashes occurred. And Oromia police is saying that they have defeated OLA on southern front led by Jal Gulicha, viewers. But OLA says that they have inflicted heavy losses on southern front. Then on western front, today I did a video on that in Horogodoro, hundreds of OLF fighters carried out an attack on a military camp in Horogodoro. So fighting is intensifying in Oromia. I think there is more fighting in Oromia than in Tigray these days. And you'll see more fighting in Oromian elections, viewers. Someone is asking about Holy Grail, whether it was taken by people from Axom. I don't know about it. It's not good to speculate about such matters. Beetle is saying how many Eritrean generals have died. Do you know that? Yes, Beetle, I know that several high-ranking Eritrean officers have died. But no information is coming out of Eritrea. You know that the way they're running their country. Yes, they're dying because they're fighting a war. So everyone is suffering damage. TDF, ENDF, Eritrean forces. Hero is asking what is the situation between Ethiopia and Sudan. Yes, I want to talk about this thing, Ethiopia-Sudan border. Over the past 3 days, viewers, Ethiopia has sent more contingents towards border areas, and we have seen deployments on Ethiopian side in both fashagas. On Ethiopia side of the border, Fashaga al-Kubra, Fashaga al-Sugra, and same is the case on Sudanese side of it. Sudan has also sent large reinforcements on Sudan side of the border. So preparations are again underway for a likely confrontation in the coming days. But so far, as of now, no fighting on Ethiopia-Sudan border. Someone is saying, you seem to undermine the diplomatic pressure Abiy is under for Tigray War. Did I say that? Did I say that Abiy is not under pressure, diplomatic pressure? He is under pressure. US is putting pressure upon him. US has imposed sanctions on him. But he won't give in to this pressure. Why? Because he has an upper hand that TPLF and TDF are under pressure, and Abiy wants to crush TPLF. Eritrea wants to crush TDF. That is why, though there is pressure upon Abiy, but Abiy will not give in to this pressure. He will try to strike a decisive blow to TDF. It does not mean that Abiy is not under pressure. I never said that. Is fiasco. Tigray and Afar will merge and form an independent nation. That's your speculation. Warash, Gabru, you are working against Ethiopia. I don't know why people accuse me of being anti-Ethiopia. I always report on both sides. I informed you about what is happening against Ethiopia even. I informed you about what Egypt is doing, what Sudan is doing, about dam dispute. I informed you about internal conflicts, and I report from both sides, from all sides. I don't know why you people call me anti-Ethiopian. Am I calling for disintegration of Ethiopia? I always said that I am a supporter of Ethiopian Federation. People dislike such comments when I say that, but I always say that disintegration of Ethiopia will lead to consequences for this region, for the Horn of Africa. We could see regional instability if Ethiopia split. Yes, good point. Beetle is saying, what do you think? Eritrea supports Ethiopian elections, but they have never been elections in Eritrea. Yes, you're right. Because election is a way of legalizing Abiy's tenure, and Abiy is hand in glove with Eritrea. That is why Eritrea will definitely like elections held in Tigray, in Ethiopia. Peace for All says protection of civilians in armed conflict can allow for intervention. But who will intervene? Question is. US cannot intervene from US. International community is divided. China is backing Ethiopia. Russia is backing Ethiopia. President of Kenya was in Ethiopia 2 days ago. He is on board with Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Eritrea is taking Ethiopian side. Who will intervene here? And viewers, as I was talking about intensifying war in Oromia, one of the reasons behind intensified war in Oromia is that Ethiopian government, Eritrean government believe that they have to some extent contained TDF and TPLF. That is why now they are working on containing OLA. And from Tigray, uh, Eritrean forces have been deployed to Oromia as well. I sometimes I wonder that Eritrea and Ethiopia are on their governments. They're on the same page on so many issues that they're planning military offensives inside Ethiopia in a very systematic manner. And Abiy and Isaias are just like, it seems they're not two countries. It looks like they are one country, they're leading one country, and they're deciding, they're making joint decisions. Very surprising for me that Isaias is so much involved in Ethiopia that he is backing Abiy on every issue. He's backing Abiy in Tigray, he's backing Abiy in Oromia. So he is trying his best to support Abiy as much as possible. Someone is again asking about NATO's intervention in Libya and in Afghanistan. No comparison between NATO intervention in Afghanistan and in Ethiopia, and also in Libya and here as well. Libya was, uh, US was working for a government change in Libya. So far, US has not started working for a government change here in Ethiopia. Uh, Common Tigrayans are talking about military intervention from the US, from NATO, but TPLF have adopted a very wise strategy. They want to involve international community, and they want a ceasefire through putting pressure upon Ethiopia by saying that humanitarian crisis is deepening in Tigray. So their approach is that international community should be involved. International community should call for humanitarian ceasefire in Tigray. And that is what we are seeing. TDF is not calling for military intervention by the US, by the NATO. They want a ceasefire here, and they want Eritrean forces withdraw from Tigray. Eritrean forces have inflicted losses on TDF views. Without Eritrean forces, TDF can bounce back views. So the first priority for TDF and TPLF is withdrawal of Eritrean forces through diplomatic pressure upon Ethiopian government. They are not waiting for military intervention from the US or the NATO. Michael Ash, TDF and TPLF should surrender. That will never happen. They will never surrender. They'll die, they'll never surrender. You'll see. Conviction is very strong on the part of TDF that they are fighting for survival. They are fighting to defend their homeland. When there is such a strong conviction, people don't surrender. People die fighting, people don't surrender. Viewers, 33 minutes have passed. Let me just sum up this week's important development. Magnetism has joined. He was always complaining that he never gets to join live chat sessions. At last, he joined. Magnetism, thank you for joining. Welcome. He's asking about second filling. Ethiopia's Oromia campaign has already started, Magnetism. You see that heavy fighting is going on there. Adi Standard is confirming, Oromia police is confirming that heavy clashes have erupted there. And presence of Eritrean forces is also being talked about there. So their campaign in Oromia has started. It started because they knew that this region was very vulnerable. In order to conduct elections peacefully, this offensive was launched here. Because peaceful conducting of elections in Oromia is still a challenge. And the purpose of this offensive against OLA was to conduct elections peacefully. So this offensive has started, and elections will be held. Then we'll see the other top priority of Abiy Ahmed, second filling of GERD. Let's wrap up this live chat session, viewers. Thank you for joining. Just a summary of this week, viewers. I said at the start of this session that TDF are going through a very hard time. This is the lowest point for them since the start of Tigray War. They are fighting for survival, and in coming days we will see further military action from Ethiopia, from Eritrea against TDF, because they believe that TDF are about to be defeated. Firstly, in Oromia, war or fighting is intensifying, viewers, on southern front, on western front, and on central front as well. Fighting is intensifying, viewers. In Somalia, no political developments, but Somali Prime Minister has announced the formation of a commission to look into reports that Somali soldiers were sent by Eritrea to fight in Tigray. So very positive development. In Sudan, protests are underway against inflation, against rising fuel prices. And these protests could turn into anti-government movement as well. Last, viewers, both Ethiopia and Sudan have sent large military reinforcements to the border areas. No fighting there, but preparations are underway, viewers. Thank you for joining. Thank you, all of you. I try my best to analyze horn issues impartially, without any bias towards any side. If I make any mistakes, I apologize. Mistakes are unintentional. All of you are respectable for me. Amharas, Tigrayans, Ethiopian government, Somalia, Sudan, Eritrea. People of this region, they are wonderful people, but they have been divided into groups, and hate has been instilled in their hearts against each other. Otherwise, these are wonderful people, very loyal, lovely people. And that is why I say in every chat session that this region should rise above ethnic loyalties. You see what Sifan Hassan did, what the other lady did. Ethiopians, then Sudanese and Eritreans, they are wonderful people. They are world class in several fields, but the leaders have kept them backward, viewers, and they need to challenge their leaders. Ask them questions. Don't be divided into communities, into ethnic groups, viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you, all of you. See you in the next live chat session. See you. Bye bye.